What's up, everyone? I'm Jack Fossett, and today we're checking out the Voiceprint DI from LR Baggs. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the channel. Welcome to this demo and review of the LR Baggs Voiceprint DI. This is a really unique pedal that is attempting to allow you to recreate the actual sound of your unique guitars through a sound system. So this is a DI. It's got your ground lift. It's got your balanced XLR line out, but what's really exciting about it and what's really special about it is that this digitally captures the sound of your guitar through an app. Now, if you're not familiar with what IRs are, essentially, just to kind of simplify it, it's like a digital snapshot of an audio sound that can then be replicated. So rather than, trying to capture the resonance of the top or, have a microphone on the strings, it's actually kind of like a digital fingerprint in a way. Now, IRs aren't perfect. I think that they're really incredible, and I think the technology is moving very quickly in the right direction. So I think it's kind of exciting in a lot of ways, and I think that IRs can help you get a lot closer to the real sound of not just acoustic guitar, but a lot of things. The IRs are obviously very popular with speaker simulation, and for if you're talking about IRs in like Line 6 Helix or Fractal or things like that, we're talking about the same idea here. Obviously, getting your acoustic guitar to sound good plugged in is challenging. This is something that we've talked about a lot on this channel. And I think that this is a new approach in a really cool way. Now, I've had a number of IR loader pedals before, and many of them come with, different shapes, sizes of acoustic guitar and things, and you can kind of match one to yours that sounds good and sort of try it out. And this is one that actually lets you pretty easily create an IR of your own guitar using your iPhone. Now, that's something that before, I remember when IRs were kind of newer, or at least newer to me, 7 or 8 years ago, a friend of mine was trying to explain to me how to create he's like, you can create your own IRs, you can do it, and he immediately lost me within like 30 seconds. Well, again, technology is moving fast in the right direction. With this, what you need to do is get the app. You plug your guitar into this, you connect it to the app via Bluetooth, and then it takes you through a series of steps. You tap on the guitar bridge, which kind of sets the mic. Then you strum several chords in different positions up the neck. Then you pick several chords in different positions up the neck, followed by doing scales. And then once you've done that, and it takes you through it step by step pretty easily, it gives you a preview. And you can, you've got this plugged into, you have to have this plugged in obviously to a sound system. You can hear the preview and see how you like it. I actually, dare I say, found it kind of fun. It was so easy and so quick to go through that I actually went through it a bunch of times just to see if I could get it different, depending on how exactly I positioned the phone in relation to the guitar. Now, I will say that I find the IRs, and it's possible that this is user error, I find them on the bassy side. They have a lot of kind of this really powerful resonant bottom end. However, one of the ways to balance that is that you can then set the EQ for it. There's an EQ section right on the app that you can save as part of your preset. Now, you can save up to 99 and you cycle through them using the next foot switch. You've got a next and you've got a mute. So the mute's obviously just very functionally helpful. You've got your next button and it shows up right on. You've got, your number code for what your IR is. So if you're switching between guitars at a gig, you can pretty quickly cycle through to the correct one. And again, each one has that EQ saved. What I want to do now is play through several different guitars with several different pickups to show you the really wide range of sounds that this kind of can do in a number of different applications, so to speak. So the first guitar that you heard at the intro is a Martin 00015M that's loaded with an LR Baggs M80. Let's go back through that. Now we're going to start off with 100% IR, and then with the voice knob, you can actually, it's basically a wet dry. You can blend it all the way out so that you're just getting the sound of your pickup all the way up to 100, which is entirely the IR. So I'm going to play with that a little bit. You also have the anti-feedback and you have a pad knob. Let's take a listen. All right, so you can hear it really, again, I think it gets a nice tone. Now, I had an interesting response in shooting this because I actually think it did sound better in the room than it did recording direct in. And so the way that I'm doing this video is I'm recording it direct in using the XLR, but I was monitoring it in the room using the basic out, just going into a Bose PA, which you're not hearing, but I am. That's how I'm telling what I'm hearing. Through the PA, I actually thought it sounded better than what the recorded tone was. Doing acoustic guitar pedal and pickup reviews like this is somewhat imperfect because it's very, very hard to recreate the sound by miking a PA, but obviously the direct sound recording isn't exactly what you're going to hear if you're a gigging guitar player. It's probably somewhere in the middle of those two. So that being said, I do think that the best tones from this are with something of a blend, not the 100% IR setting. I thought it sounded good with it favoring more the IR, anywhere above 50%, somewhere between 50 and 100%, but I did like it with it backed off a little bit so that it wasn't just the entire sound of the IR. So what we're going to do now is go through two different guitars with two different pickups. Now I'm going to switch to a Martin D15M, and this one has my LR Baggs Anthem, and I have set up unique IR presets for each of these guitars. So let's jump back in and listen to that. Okay, now those are two guitars that have LR Baggs pickups, and LR Baggs did sponsor this video. They've sponsored a number of videos for me, and I want to say a huge thank you to them. They've been a joy to work with, and they're making some really cool stuff. Now, for the last one though, I want to jump away from LR Baggs, and I am going to use a K&K Pure Mini. This is a Martin DM, which is just mahogany back Martin Dreadnought style guitar, and that's got a passive transducer under saddle K&K, and I created an IR for that. Again, it was really fun. It was actually just super easy to do. So that was kind of cool. Now, I also want to mention that this has an effects loop, which is great because what that means is you can put certain effects after the IR before the output so that you're not just running everything into the front end of it. So for that, I actually am using the LR Baggs Align Reverb. You heard that in the intro of the video. What I'm going to do now is give you some tones from the K&K IR that I set up, and then also turn on the Align Reverb to add a little bit of air in and hear how that kind of sounds in there. Again, I think if you're listening back, all of them I think sound best a little bit with the voice knob blended back. More than 50%, so you're really getting the use of the pedal, but a little bit of the warmth of the pickup. Not so much that's kind of any acoustic guitar pickup can have that hint of quackiness to it. Once you get that out, there's like a sweet spot in there where I think this really makes your guitar sound natural. Full on IR, again, sounded a little boomy, and there's like this hint of like magnetic pickup sound to it. That little bit of electric tone that wasn't imperfect. It was very usable, and again, I want to mention it sounded better in the room, but it sounded great, I thought, when you dialed it back just a little bit. So now let's listen to the Martin DM. All right, everyone, that is the LR Baggs Voiceprint DI. I'm really excited that there are so many cool things like this out nowadays that gives you multiple options to really get a better acoustic tone than you could ever get when I was a younger guitar player. When I was out gigging and stuff in my 20s, there weren't a lot of great options for recreating an acoustic guitar sound. It kind of always sounded flat and, for lack of a better word, kind of farty. they just did not sound good. They lost all of that beautiful woody resonance that is what makes us fall in love with the acoustic guitar. Nowadays, things like this and the other pedals that LR Baggs are making, better pickups, all kinds of stuff that, it's still difficult to really get the 100% natural acoustic guitar tone through a sound system, but you can get so much closer nowadays in a way where you don't really lose your inspiration. And again, with something like this, the sky's the limit, because you could shape this even more by using an EQ pedal with it, or, using some compression with it, or, whatever other effects, especially since you've got your effects loop, you could run an EQ going into it or into the effects loop and shape your tone a lot of different ways that way. So again, I want to say thank you to LR Baggs for sponsoring this video. I am going to put a link below to where you can check this out and the Align series of pedals. Those are affiliate links. You know the drill there. Those are commission-based affiliate links, but it doesn't cost anything extra to you. Let us know what you think. I'm Jack Fossett. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
So baby, keep riding into the night, we start flying. The time has come to let our worries go and find out who we are out here on the road. We're singing highway songs.